All right, I'm here with Andy. He's been a teacher. How long have you been a teacher here?
11 years.
11 years. All right. We're going to talk a little bit about how technology has evolved at Teaneck High School. When you started teaching at Teaneck High School, what technology was available here?
There was very limited technology. There were a few computer labs, but they were in very poor condition. I remember using one of them, and there was only 3 working computers in the computer lab.
So how about was the infrastructure sufficient for you to implement the technology, or was it kind of outdated as well?
The computers themselves didn't work, so I don't even know if
They could
it affected the infrastructure because the computers themselves didn't really work.
All right. Have you personally spearheaded any technology initiatives?
Well, I guess I was partially helping to implement the use of iPads in the classroom. I've designed for the junior high 2 classes two semester classes called Classroom Inc. that were based using a software simulation. And for our department, I included a publishing class that utilizes 3 Adobe software.
Right, and that's digital design, that class, right?
Yes.
Have you found that the administration embraces and encourages the use of technology?
I think they do.
Right.
Yeah, I think they do.
They're supportive, I would say so too. Do teachers, students, or the administration drive the implementation of new technologies in the school district?
I feel it primarily comes from the teachers, the administration probably second with the students, but I think the teachers generally do it, and then
They find out about something, they talk about it, and it kind of takes off from there.
Exactly.
Okay. Over the years, what technological evolutions or implementations do you think have had the greatest and least impact on students' ability to succeed? So like things like pieces of technology that have been implemented that have really helped, and maybe things that have been implemented that really haven't, impacted students' achievement or improved their learning experience.
I think the e-boards have helped for students that are forgetful or absent. They can then have access to the assignments. The least impact, I also think the grading program, when the students use it, is good. I also think sometimes that it does have a negative impact because students think that their grades are good and then they stop working as hard.
Right.
What's had the least impact?
How about we'll talk about this, but the smart boards?
The smart boards, yeah, actually, I do think they help. Sometimes we have technology issues with it.
Right.
I don't know if it's set up, if I've implemented it to the best of its ability. But I think those are also useful too, the smart boards. To me, the fact that they put the projectors in the classroom, I think, is one of the biggest impact on helping students.
Okay. Do you think that this school district or school districts in general blindly throw money into new educational technology without considering the potential benefits of that technology on student achievement?
To some degree, yes. Probably I've heard from other teachers in different districts the same thing. In ours, I think sometimes they do. They don't necessarily weigh the factor that they buy things that within a year or 2 become outdated, and then you spent instead of like a leasing program. I think sometimes they don't focus on everything, or they don't sometimes ask the teachers. They buy and then try to use this.
Right. Okay, what do you think are the greatest challenges this district faces to increase the use of technology in the classroom?
Well, my number one complaint is we have network and server issues,
Right.
and network space, server issues, wireless problems. So I think those, I think we need an upgrade in the network, at least
The infrastructure.
the infrastructure of the whole network, in my opinion. And
what about funding? Because, obviously it's a little different economy now. The world's changed in the past couple of years. I mean, we discussed the Apple store launching, just speaking about buying, there's 1,400 kids here buying an iPad for every kid here. It's just a huge
it would be very
source of
expensive. Plus, you have to also worry about theft and damages and battery life.
Right. All right. Do you think that teachers who are unfamiliar or who are not comfortable with technology have impeded the implementation of useful, practical, and beneficial technology in the classroom? So teachers that aren't, literate with technology or digital natives, do you think that they maybe shun new technology because they just don't feel like learning the software or learning how to use it, so they don't use it?
I think some do. I think I'm not really sure because I'm not in their classrooms. I think some do. I think, they give everybody a computer, but not everybody has a projector. So you're kind of limited. There's teachers that I see that have gone out and bought their own projectors because it's great to have a computer, but if nobody could see your PowerPoint or do anything else, you are kind of limited. I think a lot of the teachers, some of the older teachers kind of retired, and I think a lot of the newer teachers, the younger teachers or the newer teachers are not, they like the use of the technology. I'd say, but overall, it doesn't affect the other teachers. So I think there's always going to be a select few that, they might even say they're using it, but are they really?
Right. What are the minimum amounts or types of technology that should be available in every classroom?
In my opinion, every classroom should have at least a computer or a desktop connected to a projector in every classroom.
Right. Yeah.
I know my high school that I went to, they recently did computer, projector, and a smartboard for every classroom.
Every classroom. Yeah. In terms of professional development, do you think the district provides useful and adequate instruction about implementing new technology into the curriculum?
Sometimes I think they can go more in depth, or they could do it. They do generic professional development, but then you have some people that the basics, they know the basics.
They can figure it out on their own.
They want more advanced. I think sometimes they should kind of scaffold the professional development to fit the needs of the people instead of me having to sit through something that in 5 minutes I already figured out.
Right.
You're wasting my time.
Do you think this district carefully considers the upfront and future maintenance costs of technology before it is implemented? Sometimes
I question that. I think they consider it. I don't know if they always make the right consideration. I think for some of them they bought where I think maybe it would have been better off to lease because the technology gets outdated, or we've had bad batches of computers where they've had to extend warranties because we had so many problems. I question that myself sometimes. Who's actually figuring all this out?
Yeah, who's making the decisions? How would you rank the Teaneck School District in terms of technology implementation compared to surrounding districts?
I'd say we're at least equal or better than most other districts. Sometimes I'm willing to say that I look at Teaneck sometimes as like my department, and I think we as a department are extremely better than most other districts as far as a business department. But I don't know if I could say that for the whole district itself. I don't know what's going on in the middle schools or.
It's definitely.
But I think we're at least equal or better. I wouldn't say that we're behind anyone.
Right. Parents and students now have real-time live access to teachers' gradebooks through Families and Student Access. Could you comment on some concerns and potential benefits of this technology?
Benefits are the students and the parents can check the grade instantly and know. Some of my concerns are sometimes I've been contacted because if you put something in and it says missing because you didn't put the grade in right away. Sometimes I think the kids will check and it's not always up to date. It's not always real time.
Right.
I've seen the difference between my screen and their screen, and I know my screen's real time and theirs isn't. And sometimes I see the kids have, they see a grade and they're like, I won't do this because how low can my grade go? They know what they're at. But I think overall it's good. I think there is some drawbacks to everything, and how often is it updated? I haven't figured that out yet.
Right. All right, back to the Apple question. Apple just launched an iBooks 2 product designed to replace the traditional textbook for students. All the students' textbooks would be available to the student on their iPad. Do you think issuing and purchasing an iPad for every student in the district is possible and or feasible?
Anything's possible.
Right.
When you have an $80-something million budget, you can try to find it. Do I think it's feasible? No. I think for every student in the district, there's a lot of students. You're going to be talking at least 3,000 probably students.
It's a huge number of money.
Yeah, at first the outlay itself, then you have to buy the apps or the books. I think those will be it. Plus, in my opinion, you have to worry about damages or like how are things going to be covered under warranties. In high school, I think you'd have to worry about a lot of thefts.
Yeah.
So, do I think it's realistic? Probably not. I think you'd have to start before you do it right away. I think you'd start smaller and see the advantages or disadvantages, in my opinion. I do think, maybe having more like for departments as opposed to giving each student one.
Okay, maybe in one class, or do it with one class and see how it works.
Have some trial classes.
Right.
There are some downfalls. I guess it would be good if each kid had their own, because then you could do more with it, as opposed to when we share it between 8 classes, because they're limited because they can't keep their notes on it, they can't ever access it.
Some of the other districts around here, they have policies where students are issued a computer and they bring that computer with them, throughout the day. What do you think are some advantages and disadvantages of students having a computer, or a notebook, or a textbook, or a tablet textbook, like as a tool in the classroom? So having, their computer, that's what they use in the classroom for internet access, for everything. That's they take their notes on it. That's their, it's a learning tool for them, and they carry it throughout the day.
Advantages, they would have it. They'd be instantly, be able to access their book, and there's no forgetting it. But the disadvantage is what happens when they forget it.
Right. They forget
how do you stop cheating? They're going to have something that's going to be Wi-Fi connected. Right now with the iPads, one of my problems is they can't access our network. They could get the Wi-Fi, but they can't access the server. They can't save onto anything.
Printing.
They can't. Yeah, we can't connect to the printer. They also have, and then you could have students, like sharing work. Everything will be, possibly shared if there's no way to check. And when they're taking notes, how do you know if they're taking notes or if they're just playing games or on the internet and not listening? And the second you come over, they just click another button. So I think there's advantages and disadvantages of having it. I'd like to try it. I'd like to have like a pilot class to really figure out the good, but we haven't been able to figure out connecting to our server, so there is some disadvantages about that. I guess you'd have to they'd set up emails or some form to send all the any of the work. And what happens when a kid loses it or if they forget it? Do you have extras?
Yeah.
Now they're stuck. They don't have any of their stuff. With the battery, you'd have to have enough outlets for everybody to plug in. Advantages and disadvantages.
Right.
I think it will probably be the future, but we'll have to see.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I had, but thank you and I appreciate your time and input.
You're welcome.